There once lived a man in the distant past who had a gift for gab that was matched only by the recklessness of his speech. His words came out easily and naturally, most of the time without the constraints of forethought, and they left a wake of remorse and regret in their wake. Not only with his immediate circle of family, friends and neighbors, but even with complete strangers who had the misfortune of crossing his path. He had an uncanny knack for stumbling into difficulties. Because of his repeated verbal indiscretions, he felt humiliated, which led him to look for solace in the teachings of a bison master who was said to live in a nearby monastery. The man, who was dead set on breaking free from the shackles of his own careless speech, set out on the journey to the monastery the very next day. He was determined to achieve his goal. Upon arrival, he was greeted by the Zen master, who was the personification of calm and enlightenment. He began by expressing his predicament with a respectful bow, asking for advice on how to lessen the suffering he had brought upon himself. He admitted that he had a problem with his excessive and thoughtless talking, which caused him to have regrets and conflicts in his life. He longed for information on how he could triumph over this challenge. In response, the Zen master gave him a thoughtful look before revealing a profound truth, which was about the importance of maintaining silence. Even though the master was aware of the significance of speech as a channel through which thoughts and feelings can be expressed, he emphasized that there are situations in which remaining silent is the more prudent option. He then went on to describe 5 separate scenarios in which it was more beneficial to remain silent than to speak, thereby shedding light on the way to achieve inner harmony as well as harmonious relationships. The presence of anger was the first predicament that the Zen master described. He described anger as a destructive force that is capable of eroding one's inner peace as well as the relationships with other people, by using a metaphor as vivid as flames consuming everything in their path. Words spoken in a fit of rage frequently bear no resemblance to the speaker's true feelings and are frequently followed by feelings of regret. According to the expert, the cure consisted of exercising self-control, which entailed keeping one's cool in the face of mounting resentment and giving oneself some space to let one's feelings settle before engaging in conversation. This practice not only prevented conflicts, but also kept others from feeling the sting of hurtful words directed toward them. The second situation in which one should embrace silence is when confronted with ignorance. The Zen master warned his students not to speak before having fully comprehended what they were saying, because doing so not only led to foolishness, but also diminished one's credibility. He advocated for gaining knowledge from those who were more knowledgeable and emphasized the importance of humility when admitting to having knowledge gaps. Verifying the facts and the sources before making a statement ensured that correct information would be disseminated, thereby preventing the spread of false information and helping to cultivate a culture of wisdom. The third possibility manifested itself during times of uncertainty. The Zen master enlightened the man on the dangers of using hearsay, assumptions or rumors as basis for speech, and the man thanked him for the insight. In order to protect oneself from experiencing regret in the future, he emphasized the significance of conducting research to determine the truth and veracity of information before it is disseminated. In this scenario, silence was portrayed as a defense mechanism against dishonesty. It helped maintain one's integrity and promoted an environment that was honest. The fourth example provided insight into the concept of giving the gift of silence to other people. The Zen master emphasized the importance of maintaining silence and paying close attention during conversations, particularly those in which people revealed their most private emotions. The listener's ability to feel heard, understood, and respected was greatly enhanced by the lack of advice or opinions offered during the conversation. This compassionate silence served as a safe haven for the expression of feelings, the strengthening of connections, and the development of trust. When confronted with ridicule or contempt was the fifth and final scenario, in which silence proved to be the best response. The Zen master elucidated that an unshakable self-assuredness could be demonstrated by reacting to ridicule with silence and a serene smile instead of becoming defensive or angry. One transcended the negativity and embodied maturity and wisdom when they refrained from retorting or defending themselves against it. It's possible that those who tease you in the past will feel compelled to apologize and change their behavior after seeing how you responded to their taunts. The Zen master summed up his teaching by discussing these 5 scenarios as the final point. He impressed upon the man the idea that adherence to this principle could prevent a multitude of predicaments and conflicts, thereby freeing him from future regrets. He established himself as a person of substance by regularly engaging in the practice of strategic silence, which gave the impression of wisdom and garnered respect from those around him. Following his successful assimilation of the profound teachings imparted by the Zen master, the man sincerely expressed his gratitude. He realized the transformative power that was hidden in silence, the power to obliterate needless words with comprehension. He left the monastery with the intention of putting these teachings into practice all along the path of his life, seeking not only to speak, but also to recognize the times when silence was more powerful than words. His newfound comprehension emphasized that genuine strength did not solely rest in articulation, but rather in discerning when silence held the mightiest response of all. He believed that this was the most important aspect of authentic strength.